How do you keep your family healthy this season when it feels like everyone around you is getting sick? I use Sambicol. It's drug-free and scientifically tested to help support your immunity. Sambicol has the power of black elderberry in every purple bottle. It comes in tablets, syrup, chewables, or my kids' favorite, the great-tasting gummies. So this cold and flu season, support your family's immunity with Sambicol Black Elderberry. It's the only one I trust for my family. And best of all, my kids love it too.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated here to our favorite shows!
Oh, my circuits! Everybody loves Hippo Scary Dog! Pearson at Blurnsville!
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast TV party tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And our favorite show tonight is the Disney Plus original exclusive remake, live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp, Lady and the Tramp. Joining me is the only person of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network family that would agree to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, dog lover herself, Alexis Hejna from Honeysuckle Rose Creations. How you doing?
Your Amazon Echo just went off in the background again, didn't it?
It certainly did, Emperor.
Yeah. Oh, God, my throat. Okay, folks, I'm sorry if my voice starts to kind of go in and out. My allergies have been kicking up, and my throat's getting a little clogged up, so to speak. I'm drinking hot Earl Grey tea here and trying to soothe it, but if I go on a tangent and all of a sudden start croaking, just assume the Phantom of the Opera has cursed me for a few minutes, and I'll get over it.
The Phantom of the Opera is here inside your mind.
I'm not even a huge fan of the Phantom of the Opera. I just always remember that scene.
It's not one of the Broadway musicals I saw. I've seen Rent. I've seen Wicked. I've seen Les Miserables. I've seen Cats. Meow. But I have not seen... I've seen Jekyll and Hyde. I have not seen Phantom of the Opera, but I do know that Nightwish covered the song, and I've always enjoyed their version of it. I don't know if you listen to Nightwish at all.
I've actually seen Phantom a couple of times. In fact, you mentioned Wicked. My mother, who came over and watched Lady and the Tramp with me, actually, I'm going to take her to see Wicked, hopefully in the next few weeks. They're performing at the Fox Theater in St. Louis, and I told her I'd buy tickets for us as a birthday present for her, because her birthday is about a week before Christmas.
My daughter, for her 9th birthday, my parents are taking her and her friend, and I think Melissa, to go see the stage production in Sarasota of Aladdin.
Oh, nice. I've heard that's actually quite good.
Yeah. I don't want to go, and neither does my son, but I think my daughter and her friend are going to have a gas of a time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Lady and the Tramp. Let's switch gears here. Now, you're a fan of the original. Talk about that a little bit. How old were you the first time you saw it? Does the film have any special meaning to you? Is it just one of the many great Disney films you enjoy? What's your connection?
I don't remember how old I was when I first saw it. I do remember being exposed to the music first. I was brought up with those Disney sing-along tapes, and I knew the music before I actually saw the completed movie. And both We Are Siamese and Bella Notte were listed on there.
Question about the Bella Notte scene, because I was talking about this with my wife when we saw it. We watched it as a family a couple of nights ago, and we'll talk about the cats and my wife's flip-the-table MAGA fucking reaction to that in just a moment. But I couldn't remember in the cartoon Lady and the Tramp, which is based on Happy Dan, the Cynical Dog, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If is the Italian restaurateur out there with the dog singing to them during that scene as he is in this live-action remake, or is it just music played over the scene? Because I thought it was the latter.
It's both actually.
Okay.
It goes exactly like the live action. First, the owner and the chef come out singing the song while they're eating, and they do the cute little spaghetti nose touch thing, and he nudges the meatball over. And then it goes to them wandering around the city on their date, and you have the choir singing it overhead.
Okay. Because I didn't remember them singing to the dogs, but it's a gag in the movie where, you know, the dog, I should use their names here, shouldn't I? Tramp, as it's such, is like, all right, you know, I'm trying to be alone with Lady here, and they bring him the spaghetti, and they're like, oh, good, they're gone. And like 10 seconds later, he's like, "Oh, they're back," and I laughed. Yeah. And then and he starts singing to the dogs. And my thought while that is happening is, one, how odd that must look to everyone who might have seen it, but also like I just didn't remember them doing it in the cartoon. So I just thought it was a gag for the live action movie. I didn't realize that was literally a shot for shot remake.
Yeah, now the original didn't include Lady and the Tramp basically like, oh, nope, they're back. They really don't say anything after Tramp barks an order and they give him spaghetti.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, so they do cut a couple of times to Lady, who's got this really wistful look on her face, and you could tell that she's just loving every minute of it.
So the film takes place in 1909, as I believe it does in the original, and and this takes place. The live action takes place in New Orleans, I believe.
Savannah, Georgia.
Is it Savannah?
I double checked. It's Savannah.
Oh, it is Savannah. Okay.
I don't think they establish where it takes place in the original. I could be wrong, but I don't think they ever gave any actual clues.
I feel like in the original, the way that the art is drawn, see, okay, hang on, I'm reading this. Meanwhile, a homeless schnauzer mutt goes by the name of Tramp, spends his days wandering the streets of New Orleans. I didn't think I made that up out of nowhere. It might have been shot in Savannah, but the film takes place in New Orleans.
In what universe does it snow in New Orleans over Christmas?
I don't know what to tell you about that. Yeah, the ozone layer, global warming, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, it probably was shot. Everything is freaking shot in Georgia. Georgia's like the go-to shoot place.
Well, you know, tax credits and, you know, cheaper to shoot there. These are all things. Mm-hmm. Hang on. Filming, yes. Voice work for the film began in July of 2018 with principal photography of the film's live action externally filmed in portions from September to November in Savannah, Georgia. So there you go. So we're both right. God damn it.
Okay. I could have sworn I read Savannah, Georgia on the IMDb page, but maybe somebody entered that in wrong. I don't know. Regardless, it takes place in the South, and clearly all of these characters are going to soon die from heat stroke from running around in those multi-layered outfits in frickin' New Orleans. I'm sorry, if it's in New Orleans, couldn't you have given at least one person like more of a deep Southern or Cajun accent?
I think they were satisfied with just the big band music in the background and some of the styles of the houses. I mean, great, you know, it's a Disney film with talking dogs in it. But in this universe, we have, and I was curious to get your reaction to this, because I'll tell you what, watching these things with my wife, like, being somebody who podcasts so much about the state of media through film and television, a lot of this stuff, like, it doesn't even register to me anymore. It is what it is. Watching this with my wife, who kind of tends to just watch reruns of her favorite shows in the past, and occasionally she'll watch something new and be like, "What is this?" So her first "What is this?" reaction was that we have a mixed race couple in Jim and Darling, and
yeah,
and
I'm just gonna say this. Historical inaccuracies aside, we're just going to have to kind of say whatever, because there is no way, especially in the Deep South in the turn of the century, that we would see this much integration of different races. That I'm sorry, that just didn't happen back then. But it's a Disney movie, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said. I know, because I had kind of an eyebrow raised moment when I noticed it, and then I was like, Disney Plus. I don't care. It doesn't take anything away from the story. So this is a parallel universe where the Civil War never happens or slavery. Got it.
It always comes back to a line I read about Mary Poppins. After Mary Poppins came out, some bird watching society wrote in. You're familiar with the scene in A Spoonful of Sugar where Mary gets a little robin on her hand and they start doing a duet, right?
Sure.
Well, that's obviously a male robin. You can tell by the coloring. Male robins don't sing. And that just historic fact. That, it's a biological fact. They don't sing. And the society wrote in saying, you got that wrong. Walt Disney wrote back one sentence. In Disney movies, all birds sing.
Perfect.
So when I see little things like that, I simply go, in the Disney movie, this works.
Yeah. And look, I don't think inclusion where it has zero bearing on the story you're trying to tell. I mean, are we really watching Lady and the Tramp because we want a historical representation of turn-of-the-century South? No. We're watching Lady and the Tramp because we want to see a fun love story between two dogs.
Exactly. Like I said, that's why I chalk it up to the the singing robin effect. If it doesn't affect the plot in any way, in the grand scheme of things, and is simply done to make the movie just a little bit, I guess, brighter or more inclusive or whatever, then just let it be. It's the Disney effect. So
we can turn the page on that, but I wanted to address it because I'm sure there are people listening that are like my wife who this was really jarring. I mean, she didn't.
I remember when the first trailer came out, and everyone was commenting, "What the hell? How is that an integrated couple of the turn of the century?" Blah blah blah.
Oh, was that really a thing?
Well, yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. It's like the first video I saw, I was like, "Okay, interesting twist." But again, you watch the movie, and it really doesn't impact it enough for you to really, throw a fit. Not to mention the actress playing Sarah is really good.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
It's like, you know what? No problems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the humans having as much to do in the cartoon version. They gave the woman who plays Darling, Kiersey Clemens, they gave her a little bit more to do at the end. I guess I'm sensitive to this. Not sensitive like it hurts my feelings, but sensitive like I'm looking for it now. Mm-hmm. To where if you have two characters, male and female, in an even station within the movie, but you give the woman more to do than the guy, or you make her more of the hero than the guy, I tend to notice it more and sort of store it in the back of my head for later discussion. I don't know if I care. I just know it's there. And I notice with Thomas Mann and Kiersey Clemens, who Jim Deere and Darling, respectively, they don't do a tremendous amount that really affects the plot one way or the other until the very end, where Darling has this sort of Jasmine moment at the end, where she just sort of steps forward and declares she is a hero and things must change. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not off base with this. When she's confronting the dog catcher, who needs his own part of the discussion here, because he's fantastic. Adrian Martinez as dog catcher, Elliot. It's fucking amazing.
Speaking of wonderful pets, Toby! Eddie, stop it! All quiet on the Western Front. Knock it off.
Yeah, she just has this really odd, out of place, like, you have Thomas Mann, who, Jim Deere just standing there like a schmuck, and she just steps forward and she's like, "You are a bad dog catcher, and these dogs belong to us, and we'll have none of this here." And he's like, "Fuck, all right." defeated and walks away. And then we flash forward, and Tramp has been adopted into the family. It's one of those where I have to criticize it as film craft because it's just weak, and it's like we need something for the humans to do. Well, no, we only need something for the girl to do. Okay, well, how about she just yells at the dog catcher? Okay, and she nags him out of the scene. Okay, and then we have our happy ending, and it's like, wow, is this becoming a thing in movies now?
Well, first of all, you have to remember in the original animated film, they took an interesting approach with Jim, Dear, and Darling that you never see their faces. Mm-hmm. You only see, like, most of the time you just see their lower bodies. The idea is that it's entirely the dog's perspective.
Right.
And this is why she calls them Jim, Dear, and Darling. She doesn't know their full names. That is literally what the humans call that's what the humans call each other. That's their pet names. So she assumes that's their names. So, and I always thought that was a nice touch. And yeah, it would have been kind of hard, I think, to do a live action version of that where you just see Thomas Mann and Kiersey Clemmings' feet.
They have a live action Tom and Jerry cartoon coming out in 2021, and I'm just hoping it's shot from the waist down.
We don't talk about that.
Anyway, but do you see what I'm saying about, like, this got kind of lazy at the end, and it was just like, yeah, just have her nag the guy, and then we'll cut to the end, and that's all anyone cares. It's like, I don't remember how the cartoon resolved the action and, and how we got to our happy ending, but here it's literally
a dissolve.
Okay, it's literally she just nags the dog catcher and it's over.
Yeah, no, in the cartoon, the dog catcher's cart wrecks. It's Trusty, who we think has been killed, not Tramp. And then it dissolves, and all of a sudden it's Christmas, Tramp's got a collar, and they have puppies. Okay,
so Darling isn't yelling at the dog catcher in the cartoon.
And again, I was fine with that because the original was just a dissolve. And I actually kind of liked the human standing up and saying, no, this is wrong. We want to save this dog's life.
Sure. I can accept that. I think I'm just a fan of showing heroism, not talking.
Not nagging the wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about our stars of the show here. CGI. We have Tessa Thompson, who plays Lady, who is a Cocker Spaniel, and Justin Theroux, who is Tramp, who is a Wheaton Terrier mutt. I thought, if the CGI is not working, and we talked about this with The Lion King, if that's not working, the whole movie doesn't work. And I thought they did a very good job of making these look like dogs. I thought the voice work was interesting. What did you think of how they portrayed Lady? Because I don't remember Lady talking all that much, if at all, in the cartoon. In here, I almost thought that they could have replaced Tessa Thompson with, oh gosh, what's her name? She's an SNL actress. She was in Ghostbusters. She's in Bombshell now. Help me out here.
Kristen Wiig.
Nope.
Kate McKinnon.
That's the one. The dialogue they gave Lady and some of her mannerisms, I thought either Kate McKinnon or Ellen DeGeneres almost might have been better for this role.
I like Tessa Thompson. I loved her as Valkyrie in the last few Avengers movies and for Ragnarok. I love dropping that just because I know Patrick and Robert are going to feel a cold chill go down their back every time I mention that.
Yeah, they're not going to listen to this podcast.
Oh, I know. That's why I can insult them all I want.
There you go.
But I don't know. She did an okay job, but at the same time, she is clearly not a professional voice actor. She has a lovely voice, and she did an okay job. But yeah, I kind of wonder what this would have been like if they had gotten someone a little bit more comedically trained, because comedians do a lot better with voiceover work.
Yeah, they do. And I think that might have been what I was picking up on, because I feel like they gave her a lot of comedic stuff. But the kind of comedy they gave her, again, a Kate McKinnon or an Ellen DeGeneres, I think works better. Like Laura, I think Laura Keitlinger's another comedian actress who kind of handles the like abrupt, almost like physical comedy better than. I mean, Tessa Thompson, I think on screen has a great presence. She has a great look. I think when she uses her natural accent, she sounds great. She sounds powerful. And then they took all of that away from her, and they put, this Americanized voice in this dog. And I'm like, nah, this doesn't match. And this kind of stuff they have her saying and doing comes across, I don't know, it was a bit nails on the chalkboard for me.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't like Beyonce is Nala bad. I think we can all agree that that's about the lowest rung in voiceover work right now.
Sure.
But yeah, I think there could have been some better choices. It wasn't the worst. But yeah, I think they could have found someone a little bit better. Justin Theroux was great, but he does have some good comedic chops. I've seen him in some bit roles, and he's a good character actor. You see him in a lot of different films in different parts. He's also apparently a very talented scriptwriter. There's a lot of work in Hollywood on those, so that was kind of neat. What did you think about the gender swap for Jacques?
It was fine. I like the gag of the woman dressing the dog up in various outfits.
Yeah, I think I looked at my mom and I said, before Instagram was a thing, they still existed.
Yeah, like I said, little changes like that. First of all, I'm not as hung up on the original movie as maybe some other people are. So when they make little changes, they're really not. They don't affect me in any way. I forgot when you initially said the gender swap for Jock. I'm like, who? Oh, I have the wiki open, so it rang a bell after you said it. But initially, I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, she was fine. She was. Yeah,
I mean, the actress is Scottish.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in a couple other things. Side note, it is the holiday season. She's in Arthur Christmas. If you folks haven't seen it, I honestly think that is one of the best modern Christmas classics, and I highly recommend it. And yeah, same actress is in it. So I watch it going, you know what? She's a very talented actress. She is the right nationality. She is Scottish. It's not like they brought in someone to do, an over-exaggerated Scottish accent or something. So it works.
Sam Elliott was perfect as Trusty.
Oh, who else were they going to get to play that part?
He is fantastic. The Janelle Monáe as Peg and Benedict Wong as Bull were fine. I kind of wish they had a little bit more to do in the movie. I don't know how much more they do in the cartoon, but
less.
Even less. Okay. I thought what they gave them was funny. I thought they added to the comedy of the thing, and that's it. I don't remember how long the original is. The runtime on this one is 104 minutes. So for a talking dog movie, the fact that it goes over 90 minutes at all is pretty impressive. And I thought the adding of the additional characters and what they added to the plot and sort of fleshing out different beats, I thought was all fine. I honestly, my biggest problems with this were Tessa Thompson's voice acting. I just didn't think matched the character as well as it could have. I mean, it was tolerable, but it was noticeable, and it took me out of the movie a couple of times. The stuff with Darling at the end, was just a giant eye roll for me. Yvette Nicole Brown, I thought was fantastic as Aunt Sarah.
Oh my God, she was hilarious. I just love the scene at the baby shower where she gives them this stupidly expensive vase, and Darling's got this look on her face like, and I'm supposed to do what with this?
It's good stuff. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here, or at least a pair of cats. Because it needs to be addressed. So,
well, for the record, I was going to add, when you brought up Janelle, what's her name, the actress who played Peg?
We're going with Janelle Monáe.
Monáe, yeah. Sorry, no. I don't think she even held a candle to Peggy Lee. There's actually a really great video on YouTube. I believe it's taken from like a special feature on the Blu-ray Lady and the Tramp. They recorded Peggy Lee and the Mellow Men recording the song in the studio, and you see how much she got into it. Not to mention, you get people like Thurl Ravenscroft who are doing the whimpering and everything into the microphone, and that is so freaking awesome. But yeah, sorry, she will always be Peg for me. I did like Benedict Wong as the bulldog, though, but I like Benedict Wong. He's funny. He's a good actor.
You wanted more?
Yeah, great line.
So, in the original, we have a pair of Siamese cats, and they sing a song, "We're Siamese, If You Please." And they torture Lady, and they tear apart the house, and of course, Lady gets blamed for it, and this is, and much like in the live action, this is what causes her to have to leave the house for a while. Okay. So, I don't remember when the original Lady and the Tramp came out, but you could get away with a song like that back then. And for many people, I mean, look, it's not like Disney hasn't traded on that song. This isn't Song of the South. Disney has made We're Siamese, If You Please, a part of various collections. They used to play it as like a short music video on the Disney Channel. This is a known thing. People are aware of it, and Disney has been trading on it for years.
Yeah, I think that one of the last big celebrity sing Disney songs albums they did, Hilary Duff and her sister did a cover of that song.
There you go. So it's not like Disney has done a great job of trying to bury this thing like they have with Song of the South, which they have, erased from existence. Unless you go to a comic book convention and can find a bootleg.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that another day, I'm sure.
A Song of the South?
Oh, I have no doubts that at some point we are going to end up doing a Screaming Boy podcast about Disney whitewashing away their problems. I don't think they've gone over that line from the Aristocrat or the Aristocats.
Which is
Shanghai, Hong Kong, Egg Foo Young.
Oh.
Paul Winchell doing a hysterically racist Chinese accent. Like, hey, look, everyone, Tigger's a racist.
Sorry, whenever I think of the Aristocats now, all I can think of is the meme or video somebody put up of the Aristocats playing Rammstein. And it's the everybody wants to be a cat bit, but, and the piano is falling through the floors of the building.
Oh, God.
But it's set to Du Hast by Rammstein, which is fucking hilarious.
Jesus.
If you can, when we're done, if you can find that, it's only a few seconds long, but it's really funny. Anyway, so in this movie, they obviously can't do that. You can't. Red Guardian can't. David Harbour can't say, "Huh, it still fits," without some person getting offended and babbling about it on Twitter. And then it becoming an article that gets reposted over and over and over again in the echo chamber that is our media. You certainly now can't do overtly racist Chinese parodying by cats singing "We're Siamese, If You Please," and being shifty Chinese folk.
Sorry, folks. The whole Red Guardian debate was what we talked about last night after we turned off the microphone after discussing Knives Out. Mark's apparently still hung up on it.
Well, it's the latest example of nonsense. So anyway, so I'm all for figuring out. I mean, the scene's still in there. It's just instead of overtly racist Chinese cats, they do. How do you even want to describe this?
Yeah, I told you earlier when the song came on, when the new song came on, I looked at my mom and I said, "We won't play this song because it's racist." Meow. And so yeah, now we got two black recording artists to play the voices of the cats. These are still, again, we were talking about this before the show started. I don't know cat breeds, so I cannot tell for the life of me what breed those cats were, but they clearly look they're, if not Siamese, they're like Bengal or something like that. I don't know.
Devon and Rex, by the way. Devon is Nate Wonder. Deep Cotton, okay, is the link that came up here. Deep Cotton is an American funk duo based in Atlanta whose members are Chuck Lightning and Nate Rocket Wonder. Perfect. And then Rex is Roman Jean Arthur, an American musician and singer-songwriter and producer known for his collaborations with Janelle Monáe and... of course. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. They do a good job, and the new song is actually quite enjoyable.
It's fine.
You know, I even say that had this song been played in the original Lady and the Tramp, I think it would have been a standard classic as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. As much as I'm saying you can't do what they did in the original in 2019, I don't know how this is any better. If, you know, in the sense of you still have two cats singing a song and destroying a house and saying, look how terrible we are.
Yeah, people forget the Siamese twins in the original, they were probably one of the most incidental, pointless parts of the whole movie. They show up for one song, they torture the fish, they try to kill the pet bird. Side note, I don't think either of those pets are in this film. They destroy the house, and yeah, then when Sarah comes downstairs to figure out what's going on, they play up the whole, oh no, poor us, so Lady gets blamed. And then they vanish from the rest of the movie, and we never see them again.
Yeah, they're thing one and thing two is what they are. But here's the point that I'm making. If you have two cats saying, we're shifty Chinese folks and we're destroying your house, okay, that's bad, sure, if you insist. How is, we're two black cats and we're destroying your house? And you know, how is that any better? You see what I'm saying?
Well, they weren't black cats. They were voiced by black actors or voice actors, but you know, I hate to say, but if they had actually made them black cats, so I think we'd be seeing a few more articles about how horrible this movie is.
Oh, okay. So so we're drawing a line here. You can't actually state your nationality or race in the song, and as long as it doesn't match whatever animation they've chosen for you, you're okay. Got it. So technically, we could have used the Siamese cats, and we could have used that song so long as we don't overtly say we're Chinese. Got it.
I've given up trying to make excuses for Disney being woke.
Okay, I'm here to state these things and make them clear. That's all I'm doing.
Excuse me. No, you want to go ahead and discuss what your wife did, though?
Oh, my wife, the least woke person I know.
Yeah.
My wife, the anti-feminist, which makes my daughter that much more hilarious. So we're watching the movie, and she doesn't know that this is going to happen. Like I was aware of it, so it wasn't that big of a shock to me. But so we're watching this movie, and she's watching it cold, and she's been enjoying it so far. And like I said, I don't remember how long ago she saw the original. She might have seen it more recently than I have, just because she used to watch some of the stuff with the kids. And the cats break into their song, and my wife just looks at me, and she's like, "What the shit is this?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Where's We Are Siamese?" And I'm like, "Melissa, it's 2019, and it's a Disney movie. No." She's like, "This is bullshit." Like, she was flip the table mad.
Yeah, no, I didn't know what the song was going to be, but when Aunt Sarah comes over to watch Lady, and we see the baskets are new, I said, I'm going, okay, well, how are we going to play this? I knew it was going to be different, but I didn't know what the song was going to be changed to.
I think they should have gone with Punk Rock Cats. And I think the song should have been like, you know, something by the Ramones or Sex Pistols. Wouldn't it have been great if, like, the cats came out and they all had, like, little mohawks? little earrings and nose rings just dangling from them, and the song was Anarchy in the UK. That would have been the way I would have done it.
You need to stop talking because somewhere a focus group leader in Burbank, California can feel his ears burning.
What if, just hear me out on this, what if the cats climb out of the basket, but they're in corpse paint, okay? Black and white corpse paint, and the music that you hear as they're wrecking the house is mayhem, or cattle decapitation, or burzum. Huh? How about Cradle of Filth?
Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to listen to our other show, Metal Hammer of Doom, here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Plug.
What if, now hear me out on this. What if the cats jump out of the basket, right? They're wearing like loose-fitting clothing, and the song that they sing is that the Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, and then they wreck the house.
Be sure also to listen to Mark and Jesse's other show where they discuss Wu-Tang Clan. Nothing like listening to two middle-aged white guys discuss a rap group.
I want you to picture this. All right, let me be the director I was born to be. Picture the cameras at eye level of the animals, and the cats are crawling. They're walking, and they're backing Lady up, and Lady's looking very anxious, and you see the different camera angles. You shift to Lady, you shift to the cats, and the cats are going, Wu-Tang killer bees on a swarm, Wu-Tang killer bees on a swarm, Wu-Tang killer bees on a swarm, and then boom, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing, and they just like tear down the curtains and knock the vase over. Come on. Doesn't that scene play much better?
You be the director you always wanted to be. I will be the marketing person who tries to save this show.
So we're going to put a pin in that idea and come back to it later?
Yes, a very large pin.
Moving on to less silly things. So we said at the beginning of the show that if they got nothing else right, they had to get the Bellinote scene right. They had to get the scene outside the Italian restaurant, and they did. You know, we talked about this with The Lion King, that when you do a shot-by-shot remake of something, you really have to come up with other elements of it that are going to stand out, or what was the point of this exercise other than to show off what you can do with computers now. And while the rest of the movie differs in various ways from the original, and they do some interesting things with it, this, I thought, needed, if nothing else, this had to look as much like the cartoon, I think, as possible. Because this is kind of the centerpiece. This is what everyone remembers. This is the poster that they put out there. You know, when you think Lady and the Tramp, other than the stupid cats, the only other thing you think about is the spaghetti kiss and the meatball. And I thought they nailed this. Right, Toby?
My neighbors slammed their car door in the driveway. My dogs thought that meant that there was someone outside.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yes, it is. Sorry about that, folks.
So,
wonderful rescue dogs that I brag about being one of the things I love about this movie, pushing for adopting shelter dogs, just decided they had to get their cameo. Eddie, get away from the door. Eddie! That too.
So yeah, I thought they nailed the scene. I thought it was perfect, and I got a tingle, and I smiled, and I got a nice little feeling when I saw them do the bit with the meatball. I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, they definitely got that right. Bellinote, I stand by, is one of the most romantic Disney moments of all time. I still swoon a little when I hear that song. I love it. My mom and I were both singing it. Toby's apparently trying to sing it right now and failing. Sorry about this, folks. But no, I really enjoy that they got that part absolutely right.
Have you been? I don't know if you have Spectrum cable out by you, but there's a Spectrum original TV event series going on right now. A not rebooted, but Mad About You. They restarted Mad About You, but X amount of years later. So it's the same cast, Helen Hunt and Paul Reiser, and they casted some new gal as their grown-up daughter. But just to tell you how prolific this scene is, and how if nobody remembers anything else about Lady and the Tramp, they remember this much. There's a scene in an Italian restaurant where Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt are sharing a plate of spaghetti, and Paul Reiser actually suggests that they do the Lady and the Tramp thing. That's how well known this is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything else about? Oh, we got to talk about before I kind of hit any last notes. We have to talk about Adrian Martinez as Elliot the dog catcher. I don't remember how big a deal this is in the original, but they set him up as sort of a menacing character right from the start.
You say menacing, I say clown.
I don't... He brought a presence to this character that I really enjoyed. The kind of movie it is, they couldn't go too far with it. But, this idea of stray dogs are just the worst. Like, they carry the bubonic plague. He's so into it. And that's the best kind of villain. It's something that Robert and I have talked about before. About villains who truly believe that the way they're thinking is the way everybody should think, and that they are on a mission from God that they need to carry out. I like that about this character, that he isn't just catching dogs, and he's he truly believes that these stray dogs are a menace, and and that Tramp is kind of his white whale that he has to take down, and it is just driving him through this entire movie, almost to the point of insanity. I just thought that was a good take on the character, and I thought it made the whole movie that much more interesting.
Well, we definitely needed a stronger antagonist. In the original film, the dog catcher wasn't really much of a presence. I think he's got 3 scenes overall, and again, you never see his actual face.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really like an actual antagonist or even a foil. He is just an obstacle. And they do present him a little bit more realistic. He's just doing his job. He's not actually, he's not going up to Jim Deere and discussing how about this horrible dog that he's trying to find.
So yeah, I like that they fleshed him out more, and they gave him more to do, and they gave him more of a character, and he's not just an obstacle. I thought with these remakes, with the things that we've talked about this year is, people a lot of the negative comments are always like, why was this necessary? Why did we need this? And I think a movie that sort of gets into the mind of the antagonist a little bit and fleshes that out gives rise to a reason for doing it. If you're looking at the original going, what if we got more of the dog catcher's perspective? How does that change the movie at all? And I thought that was an interesting take on it.
True, but he is still kind of a bumbling foil, and he is given a bit of more of the clown motif than I think an actual threatening presence. But maybe that's just me as a dog lover, just kind of laughing, going, no dog catcher on this planet would actually be this psychotic.
I think at one point, he just walks into the house, and I did say to my wife, I was like, well, that's breaking and entering. You can't do that. Anything else about this movie that you feel is worth talking about?
Excuse me. One of the big things I've complained about in the past is, again, the whole Disney woke thing. The fact that Disney now really tries to sell that they have a message and that they are aware of the plights of what's going on in the world. We can discuss the ending of Dumbo from here to Timbuktu and how annoying that is. But this movie did change a lot of the plot to focus on rescuing shelter dogs. We have Peg and Bull who get out of the pound because they are adopted. We have the 2 adorable little puppies who are voiced by somebody's children who clearly wanted a role. So, sorry, the kids were cute, but it was like they were just cast because they needed little kid voices. Those are not actors who get adopted out of the pound and are taken in by Jacques' owner in a very cute little scene at the end. And we have a message in the credit scene talking about how there are so many animals in shelters now who need good homes. And usually I really get annoyed when those messages get changed. But like I said before, both my dogs are rescue dogs. Toby was taken in after he was abandoned by his owner. Eddie was taken in from Wayside Waste here in Kansas City. They are both wonderful pets. And I'm a really big supporter of animal shelters and people adopting through those rather than tracking down breeders and things like that. So in this case, I am choosing to just ignore the whole damn woke Disney instinct in my head and say it's a good message, it's a good cause, let's move on.
Yeah, I don't mind Disney taking, putting messages in their song when there's a decent message to be had. I think the problems that we run into is where you have an agenda that's foisted upon people that had no business in the movie to begin with, or it's one of those that is highly polarizing. How is Adopt a Shelter Dog a polarizing viewpoint? You know what I mean? It's one of those gosh, if you're able to, why not? The only people out there are people who run like puppy mills. We're like, hey, get your crazy message out of my movie. But boy, is that a small population of people.
Actually, before this movie even came out, there was a story run that I think they said all of the dogs used were rescue dogs. They actually went to shelters to find Lady, Tramp, Jacques, Trusty, Peg, all of them. And they were all adopted.
Okay.
So, yeah, and that is great. That is really great to think that, these dogs were given a second chance. They weren't just found by somebody who said, I breed Cocker Spaniels and I can get you the best looking Cocker Spaniel out there. No, they found a dog who otherwise probably would have been on the streets. And that's really great.
It is. So I just want to read this line from the reception part of the Wikipedia page. It holds a 63% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.9 out of 10 based on 48 reviews. The consensus reads, Lady and the Tramp's cute dogs and likable cast work well enough, but the live-action update lacks some of the magic that made the original 1955 film such a delight. I think that's mostly right.
Yeah, I agree. I sat back watching this and thought, this is probably the best of the live-action remakes. And unlike Lion King, it actually was live-action. I would also like to add that they did a really good job blending the CGI of the dogs with the live-action of the dogs. It was actually a pretty good job. I think there was only one part where I was kind of going ew with the CGI, and that's the scene when Tramp first introduces himself to Lady through the hole in the fence. Because they're focusing on those, they're brown eyes, but they look kind of yellow. And the way they're framing is like, that just looks creepy.
So here's the deal with this. I think this would have bombed hard in theaters. I think it's the absolutely right kind of movie to be making for Disney Plus. I actually think Dumbo was garbage to begin with, but I think Dumbo might have been better suited for Disney Plus. Christopher Robin absolutely would have, and there's a trend here. The Disney Renaissance stuff, I think, works better for theatrical release because you already have that audience that went to go see those movies in their first iterations that made them financial hits. I wouldn't go... I would say that the golden age of Disney, as far as the princess stuff goes, your Snow White, your Cinderellas, your Sleeping Beauties, I think those will do well also, because you have your audience of princess fans that will go see them. So Renaissance stuff and Disney princess and some of and in the Venn diagram, some of those are the same thing. I think those you convert for you make for theatrical consumption. Your Dumbos, Rescuers, Lady and the Tramp, Pinocchio, your non-princess related, non-Renaissance stuff, I think you have to relegate now to Disney Plus. I just don't think you're going to have an audience for it.
Side note, please God, do not do a live action version of the Rescuers, but if you're interested in bringing that to a new generation, may I recommend a rebooted animated series where the Rescuers join forces with Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
My wife got my son watching that, and so he's watching that on Disney Plus and Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears bounce. Have you watched all of the DuckTales 2017 reboot yet?
I've watched almost none of it.
The Gummy Bears exist in that universe.
Do they really?
Yeah, because you have a arch villain who's trying to get the top secret formula, which, you put two and two together, you realize it's gummy bear juice.
So, just kind of looking at what we have planned here. You've got Mulan, which is coming up next year, which we'll be reviewing on, what's my show called again? Damn You Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be theatrical, which is fine. I think that'll actually do really, really well. I almost can guarantee it'll do bonkers in China, so that's probably $1 billion picture.
Yeah, I'm actually intrigued to see how they do with that. The casting so far looks really great. I mean, thank God they got Donnie Yen in it.
Cruella, which got pushed back to May of 2021, is also a theatrical.
We got Glenn Close in 101 Dalmatians. Why are they making a Cruella movie?
Gosh, who is in that? I want to say, Emma Stone's in that one. I think that's one where you can get away, because of the focus on the villain. I think you can get away with it being a theatrical release. I wouldn't necessarily relegate it to Disney Plus, but you're also taking an awful chance here. The Little Mermaid is shooting, I believe, now, and it's set for a theatrical release. That's fine. That fits right in there. I guess The Jungle Book did well enough. They feel like they can strike twice, and so they're doing a Jungle Book sequel. Fine. Jon Favreau pretty much right now is untouchable, and he's directing it again. So fine.
You know what? If they actually take a little bit more from the original sequels from Rudyard Kipling, it could be salvageable. A lot of people forget that Jungle Book was a series of stories that Kipling wrote, and Mowgli's and Times of the Jungle do continue. So there could be potential if they take a lot more from the book, which I don't know if they can, because I'm pretty sure by the end of the original book, Shere Khan's not dead.
And then Mark Webb is directing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and that's set for a theatrical release. So those are all fine. You've got this on Disney Plus coming down the pike. You've got Godmothered, which is a Cinderella takeoff, Peter Pan, Sword in the Stone, and the Sword in the Stone. Those are all good for Disney Plus. I agree with that. Now, here's where it gets a little weird, and here's where I'm like, I don't know about this. They've got set for a theatrical release, and these are listed as in development. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Please don't put that in theaters. It didn't do that well during the Disney Renaissance. It's kind of the one that everyone forgets about. As great as it was.
Yes and no. It didn't do that well, but it's got a bit more of a cult following nowadays. But more so, more so for the music. And frankly, that's actually the reason why I'm begging for them to just abandon the idea of a remake, because I don't want to hear anyone but Tony J, God rest his soul, singing Hellfire. That is still the greatest Disney villain song of all time.
Here's my thing, and the whole reason I brought this up to close out our discussion. The Hunchback of Notre Dame screams Disney Plus. It does not scream theatrical release. No one's going to the theater to see that. Nobody. Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo.
Lilo and Stitch, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think depending on how you market it and who you've got to star in the thing, a live-action Lilo and Stitch might be fun, as a family sci-fi adventure in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's in the maybe pile. I wouldn't, if someone came to me and were like, you have to make a decision, that's a hard one. I think there's money to be made in theaters. I'm just, I'm a little conservative about it. And then they've got the thing called Rose Red, which is yet another Star Wars, another Snow White movie. Like, again, why are you making more than one? And
Seriously, why don't you just skip the live-action Snow White remake and just have it be an adaptation of Snow White and Rose Red? That is part of the original storyline. Side note, if they actually do make Snow White live-action, again, talking about the whole Disney woke thing, it's going to end with Snow White teaching the dwarves how to take care of themselves.
And then lastly, we have, on this list that I've got here, we have Pinocchio, which they haven't quite figured out yet. Let me help you. Disney Plus. No one's going to see this in the theaters. Please learn from your previous mistakes.
They have tried several times to do a live-action Pinocchio. It never works. It ends up being needlessly creepy and annoying. Not to mention, you really want to see a live-action version of the kids turning into donkeys? The animated version still gives me nightmares.
So in a section called Planned Projects, a live-action film about Tinkerbell is also in the works. It was also reported that a live-action spin-off of Prince Charming called Charming is in development with Steven Chbosky writing and possibly directing, and a prequel of Aladdin called Genies, written by Damian Shannon and Mark Swift and produced by Trip Vinson, was announced in 2015. Disney Plus, all of it, Disney Plus. Please stop releasing these things in theaters. For the love of Christ.
I will be really happy when Disney finds another cash cow that they want to milk like crazy, because this is getting absurd.
All right. I think that is as good a place as any to end our discussion here. Check out our review of Knives Out, which is now in the archives. We recorded it last night. It was myself, Robert Winfrey, and Alexis Hejna. We had a gay old time, as we always do.
Yeah, it was the first in I don't know how long that all three of us agreed we liked it.
Yes. We've got Teen Titans by Jeff Johns on source material. Tonight, Jesse gets to pick an album for us to review. It's Rings of Saturn. Get 'em, GIDIM. And then we'll do a TV party for Titans. And this weekend, we've got some UFC coverage. Overeem versus Rosenstruik, as I've been told. Sunday, we've got The Crown Season 3, Gotham Central Book 2, Jokers and Madmen, Life of Agony, The Sound of Scars, and then Long Road to Ruin, The Santa Claus. And we'll end the weekend with some boxing and UFC. We've got Ortiz Jr. versus Solomon on DAZN, and UFC 245, Usman versus Covington. So you can check out all of those. Are you recording Jumanji 3 with us, or are you sitting that one out?
I can do it if you'd like. I have nothing against it. I mean, I saw the first one, which I stand by the. And when I say first one, I mean the first one with The Rock, not the one with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And I remember, I went to go see that on a double feature with Coco last winter. And I walked out thinking, okay, that's not the best film I've ever seen, but that was an enjoyable little 2-hour popcorn flick.
Yeah, I saw it because it was, it fit in the rubric of what we do on Damn You Hollywood. But despite myself, I ended up enjoying it. So sure. So Alexis will be on again with us for Damn You Hollywood Jumanji 3, and then her and 97 other people will be reviewing Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Because everyone wants to talk about it.
On December 23rd. So with that said, go ahead and plug your shop.
I thought you said plug your chop for a second. Like, my chop, what, my meats?
We are sorry.
We are racisties, if you please. I didn't come up with that. That's from Doug Walker. Okay, yes, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and cheek. We've wrapped up our 2019 convention season. We just wrapped up our first holiday sale. So our announcement now is that starting today, December 3rd, up until Christmas, every order that gets placed in either our Etsy store or our Handmade at Amazon store, for each one, we will donate $5 to Children's Mercy Hospital here in Kansas City. Again, we're on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. You can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, and under Duress Twitter. Every order that you place, $5 goes to Children's Mercy. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right, folks. I hope you've enjoyed our coffee and barky review of Lady and the Tramp. For Alexis Hejna, who's deigned to join me again, I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Holiday tips and fun facts from Paul, Kristen, and Dexter at Total Wine & More.
The custom of bumping glasses with the cheers came from old Rome. When in Rome, cheers!
A pork crown roast with cranberry stuffing deserves a ripe, fruit-forward Cabernet from Paso Robles. Let me help you find the perfect bottle.
Looking for the right wine for a meaningful gift? Consider me your wine concierge.
Whether you're entertaining or just bringing the wine, we'd love to share our always low prices and ridiculous selection with you. This holiday, now offering same-day delivery at TotalWine.com. Cheers!
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Old moon, yeah. That's Hugo, tickling the ivories. He just saved by bundling home and auto with Progressive. Gonna finally buy a ring for that gal of yours, Hugo? Send her my condolences. Hi-oh! This next one's for you two. There's a burglar in my heart. Thank you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.